Okay, yep. Okay, we'll call you. Thanks for coming. Bye. Who brings bees to an interview? Right, who have we got left? And please tell me there's no swine herds, because I cannot deal with that smell.
Right, so, poulterer.
I don't trust chickens.
Okay. Vinter?
They never wash their feet.
Right. Glassblower.
Why are they always so sway?
How about fisher?
Too many fish.
Grocer?
Really? Lidl is a 2-minute walk from here.
Fromager?
What even is that? Where's a brewer when you need one?
In villagers, the players represent founders working to rebuild their villages following a great plague. You'll do this across different phases. In the drafting phase, you'll take turns selecting villager cards to add to your hands. In the build phase, you'll place villagers from your hand into your village. In the market phase, which happens only twice per game, players will score their points. After the second market phase, the game ends and the person with the most points wins.
So when I was talking to Sinister Fish about doing a bit of coverage for this game, I really wasn't sure what to expect. I knew that it was card drafting and kind of tableau engine building and set collection, and these are all words that Lindsay's less than excited about, is a great way of putting it. So imagine my surprise when, after the first time we played it, Lindsay went, I want to play this again right now. And we've played it quite a lot, and you really like this game. We both really like this game. Now, I think a big reason for that is, right out the gate, this game is so well designed. It's such a solid, clean design. There's no fiddly rules. You're not constantly going back to the rule book. It's just nice and straightforward. And you can always see the direction that your plans are heading in. Mm-hmm. Even though you randomly set up the game each time you play, you never feel lost or like you don't have an option of what you can do. And sometimes you might feel like, oh, well, there's nothing directly I want to take, but you can take from these cards up here, and you can see on the back of them, it tells you where this card belongs, like what sort of card it's going to be. So this is a wood card. I might have some lumberjacks laying around that I can use this with. It's probably going to be a helpful card for me, knowing that, which is great. You just always feel like there's something you can work towards, and it's super satisfying when you are working towards one of the harder to complete characters, villagers, and you get there. You make that jeweler, who's a 4-step process, and you do it. It feels great.
What you're describing is the production line, and that is one of my favorite parts about this game, because it really is, like you said, satisfying when you can pull it off. So it does give you some interesting decisions, because these villagers that come to the road, are passing by, that you're trying to recruit to your village, they've got different skills and trades, but they rely on other villagers in some way. Or they need to, like, build up to that trade somehow, if you imagine it that way. And so that's your production line that you have to think about. And it gives you kind of a direction to go in, something to aim for, which is great. But it also gives you a bit of like a risk-reward kind of gamble situation to think about as well. Because you might have the fromager in your hand, which is like the 4th down the line, like the highest level along this line, and you don't know if you're ever going to get to the point where you can play that out. You know that it's going to be really good if you do get to pay out, because you're going to get lots of points, but you've got to think about, like, can you build that far up? Can you get those other people that it needs in that line to place that card? But if you do, it is so sweet.
Yeah, it is great. Now, in the overview, Lindsay mentioned the market phase. This is a really crucial part of this game, and I think a reason why we enjoy the game so much. There are 2 market phases. The first one will happen after you have depleted the first 2 stacks here on the road, and then you will score points equal to the amount of gold that is printed on all the cards in your village, as well as any gold coins that have been placed onto those cards, keeping those gold coins on the card, which is important. This is really interesting because I might score 20 points and think, okay, that's a pretty good start, but Lindsay scores 30. That means that she's already 10 points ahead of me, and at the end of the game, once we do the second market phase, you will score for all those gold points again, as well as all the silver points, which are basically the different set collection-y type things. But that means Lindsay's already 10 ahead of me now, so she's kind of 20 points ahead of me now. So if I'm working towards a certain strategy, I need to really work on it either harder, or speed it up, or just hope that it pays out in the long run, or I need to shift gears entirely and adjust my strategy to make up for those lost points, because I'm already behind going into the second half of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what's so crucial here, because if you just played through all of these decks and didn't have the first market phase, and then at the end you just tallied up points, I think it would feel a little bit unsatisfying to just be told, oh, this person just won. I think it would feel very, very solitary experience.
Yeah, you never really know where you stand in a game like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Having that first market phase gives you that gauge of where people are at and what you might need to change. It is a great, like, halfway through the game point, and it really works.
Yeah, a good way to check in with the game and see how it's going. Another thing that I really like about this game is that the player interaction that there is not too mean. So the worst it's going to get is you might draft a card that you know your opponent is going to want, or you might take a card that you know other people are likely to rely on. So in this example here, we've got the blacksmith here, and you can tell from the icon on this blacksmith that there are 10 other cards in the deck that are going to rely on the blacksmith to unlock them so that they can be built or put into the village. So if Chris took this blacksmith, then that makes me think about this Cooper. Should I take the Cooper, which is a good card because it gets me this gold, and there's 6 other cards in the deck that, again, rely on the Cooper so that they can be unlocked. But if I take that Cooper, it needs his blacksmith. So I'd have to put 2 of my coins onto his blacksmith card, which is going to get him points. So I have to think about that when I'm drafting. It's a very interesting way that the interaction happens, and it means that a lot of people are thinking about what you're drafting and what that relates to what they want to draft. Is it worth taking that card, or should they go a different direction?
Yeah, that is a really interesting part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the player count, it plays from 1 to 5 players. We have played it at 2 through 5, and it works really well at all of those counts. At 2 player, there is a slight rule change to how you clear the road at the end of each round and get new people out, but that's all the change that exists. That and 2 and 3 player, otherwise, is exactly the same. 4 and 5 players are also virtually identical to 2 and 3, but you add a couple of extra cards for 4 and up. That just adds a bit more diversity to the game based on the fact that there's a few more players. But I think it really shows these slight changes that make the game essentially feel the same at all player counts and don't have any really crazy rules added in, like, oh, add extra cards to the road, or reduce the amount of cards, or you get to play more cards. It doesn't feel lazy in how they've adjusted for the player counts. It feels like they put thought into it and time and energy, and it really works.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just as a side note, I think that is true for the overall production of this game. You can tell they put a lot of time and effort into the overall gameplay experience, right from the box through to the cards, through to the gameplay itself, which is great. There's also a solo game mode. We've not played that because we're not solo board game people. We typically play 2-player. But there is a gameplay run-through from the Northman that we're going to link in a card up above. So if you are a solo player, we'd suggest checking that out after you finish this video, of course, and just seeing if it's something for you. All I know about it is that it adds a unique AI deck called the Countess, which is a different challenge, a different fun way of playing that adds, again, a few different rules, but the core game is mostly the same. And again, it just kind of shows they've put thought and time and effort into that. They've given solo gamers a unique way of playing that isn't just, oh, beat your previous high score or try and beat 100 points or something like that, which is great.
Yeah. All right. So, you've heard about how the game plays, what we think about that. Let's talk appearance here. So the art is really bright and friendly and approachable. I think it's great when you look at the outside of the box and you see those nice bright colors against that nice clean white background. And then you take the lid off the box and you get this really lovely landscape scenery that happens around the outside of the inside. That's a weird way to explain it. And then you look on the interior of the box, and it's just really well organized on the inside and divided up. You've got these nice, chunky, thick card dividers that keep everything neat and tidy. And they're quite helpful too, because on the other side of the card divider, it's almost like a stock list, a little inventory to help you stay organized, so that it helps you when you're setting things up, putting it away. You could hand it to a new player and say, hey, read the back of that card, get these things out. And it's just really nice that they thought about that little extra step. They could have put that stuff in the rule book, but no, they kept it handy and out there. So I think that's really nice. Yeah. The iconography, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's really easy to understand. I'm somebody that struggles with that stuff a lot. I find myself having to go back to rule books a lot to check what, that footprint means or something like that. Yeah. But on here, it makes a lot of sense. I'm never questioning it. It's so easy to understand what it is and what I'm supposed to do with that. And then the lovely premium coins. Now, these don't come with the game. We were spoiled. Sinister Fish sent these our way in this nice magnetic box. They're chunky and wooden and really satisfying. And there's no branding or anything on it to do with Villagers itself, so you could use it for other games.
No, I mean, they look like the Villagers coins, but they're not branded that way.
Yeah. And the box itself kind of goes along with, the way that the interior of the box is designed, so it fits really well in there. And because it's magnetic, you can flip it upside down and they don't come out. It's really handy. But if you don't have that, if you're not spoiled like us, then the coins that come with the game are still really good, sturdy, nice, thick cardboard that are really legible. So those are nice too.
Yeah, I think as soon as you open the box, your initial impression of this game is so high that going into your first game of it, you're already in a good mood, which is lovely. It's exactly what all games should be like. Now, on to a couple of things that aren't so great. Firstly, the downtime in this game, as you get further and further into a single game of it, the downtime gets bigger and bigger because people are really focusing, especially in the last couple of rounds, on getting as many points as possible and finishing their strategies up. That means people will spend a lot of time with a big hand of cards going, all right, if I do this one with this one, that'll get me these points, but then I've got to give you points for playing this character and you points for playing this one. But then that means I can play this, and if I trade these cards in, I can get a lumberjack, which means that happens to one person in this room a lot. It was funny, after the first couple of times we played it with my brother, and we were both like, this is awesome, we love this game. A lot of downtime towards the end, and you were like, really?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And we were like, yeah, you were the downtime. I think this is especially true for people that suffer with some level of analysis paralysis.
Yeah, we do have a video for that. In our gaming solutions video, we try and give you some suggestions because I'm one of those people that really suffers with it. So so maybe check that out as well.
It's not too bad, and it definitely doesn't make the game unplayable, but it's just something to be aware of. It can trigger a bit of analysis paralysis in certain people, and it can just mean that if you're someone that does your turns quite snappy and quite quick, you'll find yourself waiting quite a while until you can do your next action. The other thing that we want to mention is, while there's a big variety and a big deck of cards for all the different villagers that you'll be drafting, it kind of feels like you see them all within the first or like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, for me it was the second playthrough that we did. I was kind of like, oh, have we seen everything now?
That's not to say that you've seen everything the game has to offer.
No.
We still, when we play it now, find new ideas and new strategies to try and work on. But I know there are some people that will feel like they've solved the game or that they want to see a bit more variety in the cards themselves. And you will see kind of everything within the first few games. Yeah,
we didn't find that it got stale for us.
Oh no,
but
for sure.
If you're the kind of person that likes to jazz up your games a little bit, there is always the expansion. And in this expansion, it comes with 4 extra modules, I would call them. So the first one is for those people that like a bit more direct player interaction. So if you want to be a little meaner when you're playing this game, then you can play the Scoundrels module, which has these little, like, these cards that you'll get at the beginning of the game, sort of secretly. And so, for instance, one of them might be the Thief. And in that one, you can steal money from the other players, which sucks. And or you could have the Schemer, which allows you to actually steal villagers from the other players. So that's not my favorite way to play a game, but a lot of people out there, hey, they really like that. So that's always out there for you if that's something you want to do. Then there's the Profiteers. So instead of people like getting an actual card at the beginning of the game, the Profiteers are cards that are going to be mixed in with the deck that's being played out. So you may pick up these cards, you may not. But basically, it just adds more variety to the game, more ways to make money. And making money means making points. So that's what that one's all about.
So the third module is the Saints. Now, the Saints, much like the Scoundrels, are given out at the start of the game during setup. You'll receive one at random, and then at some point, you'll be able to use it. So these are very powerful, and they allow you to bend the rules in ways that the rest of the game doesn't otherwise let you. So, for example, you've got the Recruiter. The Recruiter is a permanent person you can place out into your village, and every round, every turn that you would draft a character, you can pay a coin to take an additional villager to your hand. This is really, really powerful. It means that you're going to be generating a lot more, controlling the game a lot more, at the cost of points, obviously, but you'll be speeding up the game as well because you'll be clearing the road much quicker than other people. That could be quite interesting. There's also the Pigeoneer, is that what it's called? The Pigeoneer, yeah. This allows you to actually take a card from the reserve, which is a deck of cards that, for the most part, are not available to all the other players. So if there's a card that just isn't available and you're relying on it, you can take a last-ditch effort gamble, dig in that a little bit, and try and get that card. So again, offers you quite a powerful rule-bending thing that other people don't have access to. The fourth and final of these modules, and I say module, this one's actually, I think, the closest to an actual expansion for the game, and that is the developments. So these are buildings that you'll actually build. I've got a little stack here. At the start of the game, 3 of these will be placed out at random, and they become effectively public objectives that you can work towards. So maybe the sawmill's out, and every single turn you will check and see who is going to qualify to get the reward. So whoever has the most wood symbols across their cards in their village will earn 2 points, and next turn they'll be able to build an additional card into their village. That's really powerful. Whoever has the most gold symbols, if you've got the town hall in play, will just earn 5 points. These are really, really strong. They change the game up more than anything, and it really means that people have to focus on what everyone is doing, because if that player across the table from me is just getting loads of gold symbols and starts earning 5 additional points every single turn, that is really powerful, and they'll probably win because of that. So I need to focus on them, and if we tie, nobody gets anything. So that means if 2 people are tying for one, I can leave that alone. I can start focusing on different buildings and different objectives. It just opens the game up in a way that I think an expansion really should. Yeah. Which is awesome.
So we really like this game overall. I still find myself wanting to come back to it. A lot of times it does come down to like that production line. Like I still want to make that jeweler that I never got to make. So yeah, I think that's the mark of a good game, when you want to keep coming back to it to try something new or try something different. So we certainly would recommend it. And I think we should mention the price. We don't talk about price too often on here, but this is quite a good deal because the quality of what you're getting for what the price is, I think is quite nice. Right now, so we did a little bit of interneting, and right now the base game is just under £20 or at £20, depending on where you're shopping from. And then the expansion is either at £7 or just under £7 again.
That gets you all 4 of the modules that we discussed.
Yeah. So, they don't come with the little box, but I think for what we've played with and what we've seen, like, this is a really good deal. I mean, I would have expected something like that to come up near 30.
Yeah, I think the value of this for what you're getting is really, really good. And like Lindsay said, we don't typically comment on the cost, and we were sent this for free. But I mean, I would not have been disappointed if I'd have bought this game.
Yeah. So that wraps this up. We're gonna have to leave you now because our next applicant is gonna be here soon. So we've got a lot of interviews to do. So see you later.
So
in Villagers, the players represent founders. Yeah, what are they doing? Thank you to Sinister Fish for sending this our way so that we could do this review. And thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe and click the bell so that you can get notification of our next video. Now, Villagers was definitely our jam, and it really hit the sweet spot when it comes to a competitive game. Another competitive game that we really liked was Quacks of Quedlinburg, and we did a review on that, so you can have a watch if you like.
And another game that we've covered before that is about set collection is Millennium Blades. This is one of my personal favourites, and if you want to hear more of our thoughts on it, check out our review.
See you later.
Bye.